I've owned over 100 different mountain bikes since I started this sport in 2020, and along the way I've made some big mistakes and wasted a lot of money. So here's the exact plan I'd follow if I had to start mountain biking all over again. Okay, phase one. This is where you go, I want to try out mountain biking, so I need a bike. I remember the first time I walked into a bike shop, having never tried the sport. I test rode a few bikes around the parking lot, and the salesman was trying to get me to buy a $2,600 Giant. I remember being shocked at that huge cost. Why would I spend thousands for a sport that I've never even tried? I ended up not buying it. Here's the thing, you don't want to drop thousands of dollars on a hobby that you aren't even sure that you like yet. So what I would do when first starting out is to borrow a bike, rent bikes, even go to a bike fest and demo some stuff. I would say it's a good idea to go straight to a bike park and rent a full suspension mountain bike just to experience it. Most bike parks have great green and blue trails, perfect for getting your feet wet. If you get hooked on mountain biking, you'll know. You won't be able to stop thinking about your next ride, your next road trip, and you'll be watching all the YouTube videos. During this demo and rental phase, that's when you start picking up some gear. Get some mountain bike shoes, gloves, and get a good helmet. Do not skimp on the helmet because that protects your brain. I'd also recommend getting a nice pair of flat pedals. Having a set of pedals that you're used to goes a long way, makes riding a lot more enjoyable, and then you can use them on the rentals and the demos, and eventually on the mountain bike that you buy. The reason why I wouldn't start out spending thousands on a bike day one is because you might end up with buyer's remorse. And then you're riding out of guilt, not joy, just because you feel like you have to use the thing you overspent on, and that's not a good way to start a new hobby. And look, I know some people are gonna say, well, I can only afford a $400 bike. I get it. That was me at some point too. But here's the truth. Those bikes are like flushing money down the toilet. They're not built for real mountain biking. They break super fast and they don't hold any resale value. So if that's your budget, the smarter move is to keep renting, borrowing, and save up a little bit longer. You'll thank yourself later. Okay, on to phase two. You've saved up a bunch of money and you're ready to buy your first real mountain bike. Congrats, that's the hard part, saving up money. And listen up, because this is big advice from someone who's lived this. Buy your first bike with the intention of selling it. The worst thing you can do financially is to buy a bike and let it collect dust in your garage. Either ride it or sell it. If you decide mountain biking isn't for you after a season, that's fine, but do not sit on a bike, sell it. Bikes are a depreciating asset, and mountain bikes evolve quickly. After about 5 years, the value of that bike really drops off. So when you're ready to buy it, you can either choose a hardtail or a full suspension. And the base price of a good modern hardtail is $1,100 at least, and about $2,000 for a full suspension. And I know that sounds like a lot. I didn't set the price, okay? Mountain biking is expensive, but these days, what sport is cheap? But stick with me, I'll help you stomach those prices. First though, let me tell you about the biggest mistake I made buying my first mountain bike. I fell into a beginner trap. My first bike was a Walmart bike, and those bikes are built so poorly. The parts don't last and it'll cost you way more than you paid for it. On my Schwinn, the fork was junk, the tires weren't even real rubber, and the derailleur was horrible, and the bottom bracket failed within 2 months. I ended up spending $1,500 in upgrades to make it trail ready, all for a Walmart bike that retailed for $500. And guess what? It still rode like crap because the geometry wasn't good. And let's be real, most people starting out don't have a full set of tools or even know how to work on bikes. So when a Walmart bike breaks, and it will, you're stuck with a bike that doesn't work, can't be sold, and just ends up wasting your money. But now let's get to buying your first bike. Now, like I said, you can buy a hardtail for $1,100 and a full suspension for $2,000. Hardtails are a solid option and a lot of riders swear by them. I think it's good for the entry-level person, but for me personally, I prefer full suspensions because it lets me progress to the double black chunk faster. So for the rest of this video, I'm going to be focusing on full suspensions. And here's a list of things that would be a must-have for the starter hardtail and full suspension, and I'll leave that up on the screen for a second. So when it comes to options at $2,000, we're pretty limited. Now, Polygon makes a great bike called the Siskiyou T-Series. The T6 model is around $1,600, and I'll have a link in the description. Polygons are great bikes, and the higher specs have really good parts for a few hundred more. I believe you can find a Giant Stance around that price point, but Giant is having some legal troubles right now. Same with a lot of other brands. When I started, Vetus made affordable bikes, but they went under. YT also makes some really good affordable entry-level bikes, but they're having financial troubles too. And if you were to buy a bike from those brands right now, that could be risky. I'll just leave it at that. Now, of course, you can buy used, but chances are if you're watching this and you're new, you won't really know what you're looking for and what's a good price. And maybe in the future, I'll make a video showing how to buy a used bike. So let me know in the comments if you want to see that. And you might be wondering, well, the budget was $2,000 and the Polygon is $1,600. Well, you need to factor in sales tax, shipping. Most bikes don't come with good pedals. And then you should probably convert your tires to tubeless. That costs a little bit of money. That stuff adds up pretty quick. If you can stretch the budget a bit higher, let's say you got your tax return or a bonus at work, you can get some crazy deals. At N+1 Bikes, right now there's a Scott Genius 940 for a killer deal, and even my favorite, a full carbon Pivot Mach 6 with Fox factory suspension for $31.99. And I've got discount codes you can plug in and see how much you'd save. It could save you hundreds of dollars using Evan Deal or Evan Saves, plus free shipping. That's out the door pricing you see. Okay, on to phase 3, and remember the big takeaway. Buy your first bike with the intention of selling it. Ride it, enjoy it, and then sell it after like a year. I've sold a lot of bikes on the used market, so I have a sense of what bikes are worth, and I recently sold a hardtail for $1,000 and a Commencal Enduro for $1,800, and I can say a modern full suspension like the Polygon will always be worth at least $1,100 and in decent shape, probably closer to $1,300. So if you ride it for a year, then say sell it for $1,300, your true cost of ownership was only $400 or $500 for an entire season of riding. When you know you're ready to sell a bike, you naturally take better care of it. You clean it, you service it, you protect it, and you'll see the bike as an asset, not a toy. And actually, I treat every bike like I'm gonna sell it because I will sell every bike I own. That's how you keep the cost down in the sport. And don't overthink the selling part. It's easy. List on Pinkbike, Facebook Marketplace, Facebook groups. I would avoid eBay. The fees are kind of high, but there's always gonna be a demand for a modern entry-level mountain bike. Let's take this $1,600 Polygon for example. After about a year, clean it, tune it up, take some good pictures, and list it. Facebook Marketplace has been better for me last couple of years. Pinkbike, that's where I would put like a more expensive bike. But when you sell it, you capture your value back, money back in your pocket. Then you take your $1,200 and roll that into your next bike to trade up. Do that a few times and before long, you're on a really nice bike without going broke. And married guys out there, trust me, it's a lot easier to explain to your wife why buying a new bike makes sense if you've sold your old bike first. In a future video, I'll show you how I build a personal arsenal of upgrades that follow me from bike to bike so every bike feels dialed. And if you've been in the sport a while, drop a comment with some tips for the newbie. Do you agree with starting the way I described? And did you waste some money starting out the sport? We want to hear from you. Let me know in the comments. But for now, just remember this for buying bikes. Buy it to sell. I'll see you next week.